your water before you get a whiskey. And everybody, we're going to rotate podcasts. So you have to be quiet, and then we'll rotate people in and out.
Sure. So we have to be quiet.
Well, not so quiet that the podcast sucks. But if you're not... If there...
No, right here in the open.
All right.
Trace, can I get a drink?
He needs a drink.
Son of a bitch.
Get him a drink.
What I was drinking earlier. Because that's making me slur now.
Amy Blackwell.
Yes.
Charlie, unpronounceable last name.
Speez.
Well, this is how Chaille, like,
we try to be professional.
he writes down notes and tries to hand them to me rather than just say it into the microphone.
Because it's his podcast.
All right, this is what happened. We were just hanging around having a good time, and then Kenny says, "Oh, by the way, there's a comedy show going on at the Gay 90s. I got the rest of them. Well, I got Leslie Barton. I don't want to say her name too loud. It's like Beetlejuice. I say it 3 times. She's going to race in here whiskey drunk and just talk over us.
Solid move.
And Anthony, you say the last. Desamito. Yes. All right. You wrote
Is there
it wrong.
a D or an M?
Well, don't worry. She said it. It's done.
I was trying to get it on the PA.
And Ollie Musa, who's a friend of the Super Bowl party.
Ollie's why I wanted to go.
Yeah. Well...
And Ollie, I texted him and I said, Derek wanted to give you shit for the football thing. Derek was talking to me and saying, Ollie won the football thing, and I wanted to give him some shit. And I texted him and told him that, and he laughed. But he's gonna come out to Bisbee.
The tour.
All right, let me for the listeners. Yeah. We're just hanging here. We had done a podcast, and at 5 to 8, Kenny says, "Oh, there's a comedy show at the Gay 90s in Naco. Naco is the border town, like literally at the border. You can hit the border with a penny."
I was outside. I could hear the club in Mexico.
Yeah, no shit. And they have a back room that comics would know, and I don't want to cast derision on the Gay 90s, but for a comedy gig, it's a fucking nightmare. It's this giant, ancient back hall banquet table.
No, you say that, but it's not.
No. Listen, Leslie, you are the problem. Since we decided to do this podcast, you're going to have to wait your turn because we only have 5 mics.
You will have a turn.
I get it. No, I get it.
All right. We'll get you on.
Totally
but you
gets
can't
it.
yell in the background.
Does she
we
get
can't
it?
have too much crosstalk because this is a podcast. I love you, and you made me laugh a lot, but we'll get to you.
Doug.
Right now, it's the leaders of the band.
The room that is offered is awesome on the phone.
Yeah.
But when you
It
get
seats
there,
this many.
when you get there with your Behringer little mixer, which is fine, that's all you fucking need, and your powered speakers, it's Lou Gehrig at his speech at Yankee Stadium. You know,
And there was like there was a number of people in the bar, but in the
Locals.
comedy room, when we walked in at 8:30, thinking we were late, there was probably 12 people seated waiting for comedy. It hadn't started yet. Then there's another 15 at the bar. We're hoping are coming to the show because
we're part of that 15.
No.
Oh, okay.
We brought 7
All right.
last minute. Thank you, Kenny.
Rose-colored glasses.
But it's all brightly lit. They have a ceiling fan with the 4 bulbs. Most people should be familiar with which switch is the fan, which switch is the bulbs.
18 feet up.
18 feet in the air. And I had to pull you out of the bar because Chaille's my tour manager. He knows how to. We walk into a show that fucked up.
That's a lot of stacked up Mexicans.
And more than they had available.
Yeah. Well, we could have got some.
Well,
Cheap.
Chaille
Pretty
pulled
cheap
us-
as shit right there where we were.
Chaille pulled the lighting and the sound together.
Well, this
and,
is why I say I'm dropping you to the hotel. I know we've been driving for 6 hours. Thank you, Hennigan. And then I said I'm going to the gig. I'll drop you to the hotel. And Doug goes, "What the fuck? Why do you need to go? Is there really a reason?" This is the reason you go there, because I see the lights, and the only way I can do it is I just looking for light switches. I don't care what they do. Someone's gonna see me turning lights on and off, and immediately when I hit a switch somewhere, a guy comes like, "Do you need the lights turned down?" And I'm like, "Of course I do." Yes,
okay,
can you help
let's
me?
get to the Razing Arizona Tour.
Is that what it's called?
Anthony,
Is it-
now your job is if she gets chatty, bring her outside and say, "I
thought
want
he
to
was
talk to you
gay.
outside." I know, but yet, all right. The Razing Arizona
Boy,
Tour.
were you mistaken.
That was all an act.
Hang on.
Hey, hi, Harvey Firestein, bring her back.
Taking care of shit.
Amy, this is your production, or is,
this is Charlie's.
this is Charlie's?
Jace Clay, who's not with us tonight, he can't do this first weekend.
He didn't die.
Yeah.
Yeah, why go out on the first night?
Right.
But you said
Him
this
and
is
Ollie
the
hit a
beginning
curb.
of a 20-town tour
20 towns.
in Arizona.
All in Arizona. We have one in St. George, Utah. We have one in Deming, New Mexico.
All right, but
yeah,
basically
Arizona.
Arizona, 20 towns. That's what when you start in Naco. Naco probably has a population of 800. I'm highballing it. Like we call Naco part of Bisbee, even though it's not part of Bisbee.
I was immediately thinking they should lower their expectations after this show. Like, it's not all going to be this fucking fancy.
I disagree.
So you tonight was the beginning of the tour, and it's your Phoenix comics, all of you.
Yeah.
And you ran a show close by, and
I did in Sierra Vista.
Oh, hold on.
Back in the day. Am I not good?
Hold on. Try that.
All right. Is that better?
No.
No.
There. No, try it.
How about now?
There we go.
All right.
She's on.
Yeah, no, I used to run a show in Sierra Vista. It started out at the luxurious, what is now the Quality Inn, and moved over to the Windermere Hotel, and I
right.
ran that for like 3 years.
they were at a show with JT Habersat at the Windermere.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Chaille almost got thrown out. Chad Shank had to put a fucking hammer down.
Nice.
So
Fortunately, I brought my own security.
Good. It's always wise to have your
when
own
you
security
walked,
with you.
have you been to the gay 90s before?
I had not. No, I've never been there. I've been to Naco once because my mom needed dental work. So that's about it.
Had
the
most of
other
my teeth
Naco.
pulled across the
Right,
board
yeah.
too.
But I lived in Sierra Vista at the time. I ran a show there. I had some really cool people come down and do the show. And then I stopped doing it. And then I get an email from Doug Stanhope wanting to come and do some time. And I was like, what? I was like, sorry. Yeah, it was years ago. You sent me an email. You were like, hey, here you're running a show. It was like,
When was
I don't,
it?
oh God, it was years ago.
I
It
was
was
having
like 12,
flashbacks
15,
of
12
Inman
13
for a
years ago.
second.
In Sierra Vista.
In Sierra Vista, yeah.
I moved here 11 years ago.
Oh, maybe
so-
it was a little more recent, but yeah.
All right.
Because you were in
either
Bisbee
way.
and you were like, oh, I'm in the area.
Well, I heard there was a local comedian here. And when I moved here, I'm like, really? There's another comedian here? And I remember looking
Barely,
you
barely. Yeah.
up, but I don't remember emailing you about that.
Yeah, it was like it was. I don't know if it was an email or it was like it might have been a MySpace message. That's how long ago it was.
That's
That
it.
sounds
That's
more
it.
Yeah,
plausible.
no, it was. I think it was just it was just a quick
Did you
message.
have a
about
big, heavy MySpace presence, Doug?
I jumped on late like everyone else. Comedians hated Dane Cook for MySpace so much that they blamed MySpace and not Dane Cook. It was a very weird time. And I'm like, no, MySpace works. Just if you hate Dane Cook, you hate him, but don't hate the...
Right.
I'm never using a phone because he called me once. It was kind of that...
Hate the player, don't hate the game.
Wow,
Kind of thing.
that's my black tour manager. Elderly black tour.
Ggreg.
He's wise.
So for the tours like this that you do, I assume you've done a bunch of shit like this in Arizona.
I've never done it.
Charlie hasn't. You mentioned that on stage, but you've done shit like this. When you walked into the gay 90s tonight, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much did your heart drop into your gut?
Honestly, when I walked in, because I have run shows, but this was not mine to like navigate. I walked in and I was like, oh, probably a 4. I was like, there's at least we have sound equipment, and
Well, you
and
brought
there's-
your own.
we did.
I thought you were counting the people that were
No,
there.
well, that was I was like, oh, well, there's 4 fucking people here. This is great. It's a good start. I was like, well, we have comics, and we brought our own sound equipment, so we're at a 4. There's actually walls, so that's good. We're not outside.
But there's a lot of walls to the.
But yeah, the lights and
it's going to echo. The lighting is.
it's high ceilings. It's a square room. It's a banquet hall. They do quinceañeras there. So
It's if you're getting married low dollar in Guatemala, that would be
People from
vaguely
Mexico
impressive.
cross to have parties there because it's cheaper.
yeah, if you have an $18 budget for your wedding, that's where you hold it.
But I have to say, from a production standpoint, when you walk into a room, if you are just the host, if there's anything you can do to make it better, you should actually strive for that. I personally believe that.
I told her she should talk to the management.
You told her what to
I'm
do?
not good at talking with people with
You
money
told me
or
if there were
any of that
issues
shit.
with money.
And I asked you.
You told me if there were issues with money to talk to the management. I said, all right.
Yeah, because I can't do that because I'll just shit all over your head. Like I don't want to fucking, not literally. But
All I
just
did
like,
was
yeah.
flip a switch on and off, and someone came running over. Do you want me to change the lights? I mean,
great.
that's all it takes sometimes. I mean,
Well, I sat up front, which I think is the biggest dick move in comedy.
I did that.
You don't ever want to look down in the front row and see another comic, but I thought if I sit up front, people
It
will,
encouraged, yeah.
yeah, they'll because they know I'm a comic. So, but I sat off to the side. You didn't have to look straight down at me.
I did. I was like, I'm making eye contact right now. I'm looking at his face.
You asked people to move up to the front, and then
Yeah.
I asked them again from the back. Which
Right?
is,
You encouraged
Angry
them.
yeah.
There was an angry row in the back.
Yeah.
It just looked like they hated the show before it started. And I saw you diplomating your, come on, let's all move up front. Like when you,
Yeah.
like
And they
that
moved one
space
table.
They did.
They moved one fucking table forward.
well,
was-
that's
made it
sometimes
better?
That's,
It was better than in the back. It was good.
I'm
Why?
trying.
Why is it the placement of people is so important? I'm sorry.
Laughter
that's-
travels. We don't know.
The energy, though. It
Wait,
creates
does it
an
matter,
energy
Charlie?
when-
Does it matter to you? If you want 4 empty rows
I'm
and
a
then
sociopath. Like I don't give a fuck.
Does
I
a
don't- I
laugh
don't care
track
what it's like.
help you at
No, I'm
home
kidding.
on the
Yeah,
couch?
no, it does.
No.
It matters to me.
But it's someone next to you laughing
Yeah.
makes you laugh. That's why.
The laughter is contagious, and if you're all grouped together in a tight little space, you're gonna be more comfortable laughing because you're right next to someone laughing.
In the opposite of that group where I had to convince them to move up one table,
Yeah.
after that a group came in going, we had a reserve table. Where are we? They were adamant that
Really?
they had
There
a
were
reserve.
387
So I was like, well,
seats available.
Let me see. I made them feel like they had to wait for a second. I'm like, hold on,
Wait, let's explain this room. This is a banquet hall that, if it was a wedding, that would hold probably at least 500 people, I would say.
Yeah.
With
if
small
they have the big
tables.
round
maybe
tables,
300.
I would say
Thank God.
300. I'd say
Thank God
300.
they
If they had
didn't.
big round
300.
tables, it's say 10 or 12. But
That's-
it
if
was
you
50 by 30. Clearly, 50 by 30.
Yeah.
That was that's a big room.
If you lowered a hoop down in one end, you could have a good game of half court.
Yes.
The,
This-
I
There
know,
you go.
easily.
the
And then we
owner
could be
kept
shooting-
saying. The
yeah.
owner kept saying like we really did expect 100. Like that's what he kept saying. He said it to me like
What?
3 times. Yeah. No, he said it to me 3 times. We were really expecting 100.
Wait, in the
Which would've been-
1890s, when they had the mine open,
Did you factor in the conversion rate from Mexico to the U.S.? That might
So he was
not be-
bullshitting me.
You have
Quite
to
100.
understand the reason it's called the gay 90s in the middle of nowhere where there's no gay people except for the ones you brought.
the one
Is
you
it's
brought.
the 1890s. So
Yeah.
gay 90s. When we moved here, we go, that is a gay bar in Naco on the fucking border.
How do they get
No,
away with
it's
it? Yeah.
1890s.
Right.
They just it's a historical thing.
So Charlie, the owner of the gay 90s in Naco, America, was disappointed in the Mexican walk-up he didn't get.
Maybe I don't know.
I mean, what was he
They
expecting?
had one
He
Mexican
expected
comic
100.
that's not openly, he's overtly in your face gay. He's gay while you're sleeping. Like there's something gay in here. It woke me up.
Oh my god! Did you fart? No, it's that guy. He's gay. That guy's
He's like
gay.
jizz on your face while you're sleeping, gay.
Some fucking that was.
Oh,
a
what was
great
his joke?
He
Yeah.
had so many good jokes. He went up at the end when people are getting drunk and filling in when you walk in the door. There's a little bar. That's the gay 90s. And when they open up the back banquet hall, like ta-da! Look, we have a baseball field in the back of the room.
We do indoor soccer.
So people are collecting.
Biker rallies fill that place.
Yeah, we
I've
did-
been there. Really? Yeah.
We did a pickup game when we got there. It was great. It was great.
So as it got louder and louder as people come in, not knowing there's a comedy show in the back, it got louder and louder, and that's when Anthony closed up at the end, which it seemed like he did an hour and 15 himself.
Oh, I'll tell you what you did.
Chaille's all about the
Chaille's
numbers.
always on the clock.
He had that one joke. Do you come here often? And then he pointed to his mouth.
That's
He just kept hitting fucking really good jokes, and it's like
Fucking
he should be
incredible
closing.
jokes.
He should be closing, and then but he did. Yeah, he fulfilled his time. I'll guarantee you that.
there's no way he's getting his
I'm
45.
not insulting anyone. I thought it was a great show.
No, it
Oh,
was.
very good show.
It was just that it was getting louder and
Right.
louder in the
Yeah.
back, and he's a joke guy. He wasn't. Like,
But honestly, the like from the front to the back row that people were paying attention, they could hear it.
Yeah.
It's just
Oh,
we
yeah.
could hear the fuckheads. And
Yeah, that noise kept
Amy, you
popping
just
back.
as a host, I thought you took too long to address the fact that the people that really wanted to play pool
Yeah.
now had to talk in the room that echoed from the back like it does the front. It
Yeah.
just turns into one of those. You can't do anything about it, but you need to address it.
Yeah.
Anthony
45.
did 42-16.
42-16.
fucking very close.
You
sir.
really cut you. How much did I do?
You?
Yeah.
Boom.
I don't even
Doubt
know.
it.
All right.
I'm guessing it's around 25.
This is just shit.
That's not important.
This is not.
Chaille.
Chaille.
You did 25-28.
Okay, yeah, no, I was guessing 25.
Yeah.
All right, Chaille, we have to.
I'm so sorry.
He asked me a question.
This is the shit we'll talk about after this
Behind the
podcast is
He asked me a
over.
question.
Yeah, I'm
sorry.
just remembering that the listener wasn't at the show, so I don't give a fuck how much time anyone did.
Coming up next
Tell us
on
some fuck-
Behind the Comedy at the Funhouse.
Inside the comedy studio.
Amy,
Yes.
let's talk shit gigs, because if you worked Sierra Vista, it's a military town for
Yeah.
the listener. That's the closest box store town to us, 25
Right.
miles away or
I've,
something.
Right.
I've lived basically in Sierra Vista since 2002. I didn't know there was comedy there.
You want to talk shit gigs? I started in Kingman.
Kingman
started
is the
in
only
Kingman,
stop
Arizona.
on your way from Phoenix to
To
Vegas.
Vegas.
Yeah, I started in Kingman, Arizona, of all fucking places, by a guy who knows Doug. Brian Biggs he was doing a little bar in Kingman called the Sundowner at the time, and I ended up stumbling into comedy because I was hitting on him.
The listeners will do the math on this. I did the only show I ever did in Kingman when I lived in Vegas.
When you started 25 years
I
ago?
believe Tyson fought that night, and the night before, I found out the day after that Kinnison was dead. So there
that was a
there was
while
a
ago, yeah.
Tyson fight and Kinnison dying in the same 2-day period. So I'll hear from you on Twitter, you cunts, if I'm right or wrong. But I remember driving drunk out of that
Was
gig.
Kingman like a tribble, or was it a...
I don't even
No,
remember.
I don't think Kingman's ever been a Tribble. Who knows?
Tribble
who
used
booked
to
that
try to
back then.
fuck with Arizona and failed. It was
Yeah.
it very well
been.
could have been.
Could have been.
But so Kingman.
Yeah, it was back in 2000 is when I stumbled into comedy of all places.
I only interrupt you because
Yes.
she never says anything.
I just
Tracy.
think Kingman is one of those places that is only known for where you broke down.
Yeah.
When you're driving from California to
or
wherever.
where you get your meth
That's
made.
it.
Yeah.
Amy, you said like I'm sure you just took a pee there.
What?
Yeah, that's one of my
When she
jokes. I'm
said
like,
that,
it's where
I-
you stop to pee. It's where you stop to pee on your way to anywhere better.
Not the last trip to Vegas we did, but the one I did the week before that. We were driving home, and there was a humongous rainstorm. We had to stop in Kingman
Yeah.
and fucking stay the night. It's
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's just a place that you might have to stay.
That's like the beginning of a
All the-
horror movie.
It kind of is.
That's Rocky Horror
That-
Picture Show.
That being said, if you look on weed maps, there's a place called Hana Kingman. If you have a medicinal
There you go.
weed thing, they
sponsor.
have a very nice
He has an
weed
app
selection.
that tells him what,
Nice.
everywhere.
My
you get
cousin
weed.
owns a nice head shop in Kingman, so.
How did you start, Amy?
I honestly started because I was hitting on what I thought was a DJ at first because I thought he was kind of cute and he was DJing in between sets of a band that I liked
In Kingman?
in Kingman. And
Was the bass player already hooked up? From the band?
Go ahead.
Shut up. And I introduced myself to him, and I realized because the lead singer was like, "Oh, give it up for the DJ Brian. He's a comedian, but don't hold it against him." And I was like, "Oh, he must be the guy that's running," because I'd seen the sign that's saying that they were doing comedy on Thursdays, and I love stand up. And I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna have to come and check that out." And so I went up to him and I was like, "Hey, I see that you're a comic and you're doing shows." And he was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Oh, I love comedy." And he was like, "Oh, cool." And I was like, "I've always wanted to be a stand-up comic." And it wasn't true until I said it. And then I was like, "Oh shit, I kind of think that might be real." And he was like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Do you have any material?" And I was like, "Yeah." Total fucking lie. I had no material. And he's like, "We'll come back next week with 3 minutes." And I was like, "Okay."
Like
And
during
then I was
an
like,
egg timer?
3 minutes sounds like
Nothing. Oh, but 3 minutes is
until
a bitch.
you get up there.
And then, so I was like, okay, well, all right. And so I was like, oh shit, what was I saying the other day? I was making my friends laugh. And so I wrote a 3-minute set. I came back the next week and he had me audition. So it was him, it was Brian Biggs, Mark Weitz, before he was the Alien Warrior comic, and some guy named Chemo who was in a wheelchair. It was weird. And they're sitting in a booth, and he's like, "Okay, do your jokes." And so, and I kind of had heard that like when you auditioned for stuff like that they didn't laugh. So I was expecting them not to laugh. And
they're
they
also
didn't.
comics, so they're
And
not
they
gonna
didn't.
laugh.
And so
Yeah.
I get about a minute and a half into the
Oh,
jokes I
you
had
should
written.
play the UK.
Well, I do about like a minute and a half, and Brian stops me and he's like, "Stop." And I was like, "Oh shit!" Like, and he goes, "Whatever you have left, just do it tonight." He was like, "That was really funny."
Nice.
And so I went up that night, and I did all right. It was.
Do you
I
remember
got
one of the
fun.
jokes?
Actually, the very first joke I ever wrote was I was screwing around in Laughlin with my friends, and I was like, I think God may be an alcoholic. And I was talking about like how there's so many references to like wine and stuff in the Bible, and I was like, I think God may have been, and I just did this act out of God talking to Moses about writing the 10 Commandments, and Brian actually tried to buy that joke off me when I quit comedy for like 5 years. He was like, I want to buy that joke, and I was like, no, I don't want to. I'm like not gonna do that.
I
but-
still, to this day, I've known her only like 6 years.
Yeah.
But I still, to this day, I've seen you do that joke once.
Yeah.
And that was the best thing I've seen you do.
I did it last week, actually. I pulled it back out. I
okay,
was drunk
cool,
at
cool.
Toso's, and
It's
I
so
was like,
awesome.
I'm
It's
going to
such
do
a
the
great
alcoholic God joke. So I did it. Yeah, I did it. But yeah, that was the first joke. And then I opened with that, and it did really well. And then I did some shit about like Rice Krispies cereal and it being like a punishment cereal for children. And it didn't that bombed, but yeah.
Do you remember any of your first jokes that you didn't know were the most hackneyed premises?
Oh, one of my first openers, because like I did that night, and he was like, "Come back next week with 5 minutes," and so I wrote a whole new 5 minutes. I didn't know you could build on the 3 minutes you already had. And so I came back the next week, and one of the jokes I was like, I used to be a member of the Spice Girls. I was Chubby Spice. And then Brian added more like the whole Spice rack, and what a rack it is. It was fucking stupid. I wrote another 5 minutes for the next week, and he's like, "All right, next week come back with 7." I wrote another 7 minutes.
This workhorse.
and came back.
This guy was
So
like
in
amazing.
6 weeks, I had 30 minutes of
No,
material.
so I like by the fifth week, he was like, "You've got enough material to host." And so my
Host?
fifth week of comedy, I got paid, and I was like, there was no way anybody else was like, that was bullshit. Like, I should not have been hosting it 5 weeks into fucking comedy.
If
But,
my
yeah.
math is right, 5 times 3 is 15. You should be like opening the show. You should be like the opener or the fucking
And the feature.
or a feature and just fucking scat for
Yeah,
fucking
it was-
10.
Well, and if that guy's offering to buy bits, imagine he had a whole act. He just bought an act off of everybody within 3 weeks.
Listen,
Like,
Toots,
give me that
you
one,
stay
give
in
me that
Sierra
one.
Vista. I'm going to Kingman.
Right. Well, and then we ended up like partnering on the show because I lived in. He
No
lived in
kidding.
Vegas.
No
Yeah,
kidding.
Well, yeah. But we ended up partnering on the show because I lived in Kingman and he lived in Vegas, and so he would book it and I would run the show and host it, and so I was constantly like writing new stuff and trying new stuff out. And I
What
had
year
no
is this?
scene though.
What year
This
is
was
this?
2000 is when I started, and then I moved up to Vegas and kind of joined that scene. But I did that in 2001, and then some assholes flew some planes into some buildings and fucked shit up in Vegas because nobody was traveling anymore.
The Dorfman
So-
brothers out of Nashville? is
Exactly,
it?
those
Yeah.
assholes.
Whatever.
They don't know how to party. But yeah, so I ended up moving back to Kingman, and then I ended up in Sierra Vista, and somebody told somebody that I did.
Military.
No, I just it's another weird story, but
Credit?
my tweaker ex was convinced by his crazy wife to kidnap our son.
Now we're getting
And,
where we need to be. All right, good.
Here we go. I was digging in my bag for weed, and then it just came back around.
Yeah,
I was like,
all right.
Ah,
So-
smell it, Craigslist ad. They
There
got-
you go. Nobody here,
Right.
even the listeners, don't give a fuck about where you started.
Yeah, they don't
Let's
give a
get
shit
to the
anymore. All
dark
right,
shit.
so
All
yeah.
the preceding stories will be cropped out of this podcast. Here's where it starts.
Welcome, listeners.
Well, yeah. So my ex had married a girl who was 16 years old, and my ex and I, we had a son, and we were all living in Kingman. He was on meth. She convinced
let's
him.
Slow down. Let's
okay.
slow down. This is because this is the good shit. There's a lighter. Your ex,
My ex,
previous to you, had married a 16-year-old.
he married a 16-year-old after we had already had a child.
After.
After.
Okay.
So they had a child together.
And he was a grown man. I'm
How
He
assuming.
was-
long,
he was a grown man, yes.
How long had you been together?
We were not together long. We met when I was 18. He was 23. I got knocked up, and then he left me when I was like 4 months pregnant to California. At some point, he made his way back to Kingman with his preteen bride and their infant son. And at some point, she
She's
decided
not technically a preteen.
No,
She's a
but-
teenager.
she was an asshole. So I don't give a shit.
You know what? Chad Shank used to say that about his daughter when she was 16. But it wasn't because it was a rival and a love of 16-year. When they get hit 16, they turn into assholes.
To be,
Right.
to be
And they
fair,
steal your man.
I said that about her when she was 3. So
In fairness.
same thing.
Yeah, so she had convinced him that they needed my son to be a complete family. So he came by one night and tried to take my kid. And I was like, so that night I packed up all my shit and I was like, I'm either throwing a dart at a map or I'm going to Sierra Vista where my sister had moved. And I came to Sierra Vista. I packed up, I drove my car.
So the sister has a military.
No.
Why was she in
I
Sierra
don't know
Vista?
because her husband got offered a job to be a principal at a Christian school.
All right.
In Sierra Vista. It's not that exciting a story.
But you left the kid behind?
No. I packed up both because I had 2 kids at the time, and well, I still only have 2 kids.
You packed a roller bag and a child?
Basically.
Okay.
I packed up my Ford Escort. My Ford Escort with no AC, and I drove
2 of
from
those.
Kingman to Chandler, where I had a blowout. And
Didn't we all?
Yeah, some dudes in a tow truck pulled up and fixed my tire and got me back on the road. Made it down to Sierra Vista, where I lived in a domestic abuse shelter because they had room for, I think, 8 weeks until I had a job and a place to live.
Did you have to lie to stay at the
No,
domestic
no.
Did you
abuse
have
shelter?
to put the fake bruise of a cell phone on your eye to get in there? That's it.
That's it. That's all he's going to
Very
say.
common. Very common.
No, no,
I've
no.
heard it happens. I've heard
That
it.
or you just hold a T-bone up.
I love
to
that
your face.
reference.
No,
I'm gonna
because
talk
I'm not
to
a
you later
pussy.
about
I
that.
punch
It's so
myself
awesome.
in the face myself.
It's
Like-
a hack joke. Don't listen.
Got
to
it. Got it.
Yeah,
Got
we
it.
got it.
Everyone,
No,
everyone's telling that joke on the
All
circuit.
right. So you move into a domestic abuse shelter.
Right, because they had room. It basically goes like domestic abuse and then homeless. So I was homeless with my 2 kids, and so we stayed there until I was on my feet and I had a job and
You
was
get
able
a
to move to the
suite?
place.
If you're
no,
if you're like domestic abuse with kids as opposed to homeless.
Get bumped
No,
up,
if you're just
bumped
homeless, you
up.
get a bunk bed.
Diamond of the
You
league.
get a bunk bed.
Are you telling me the domestic abuse suites in Sierra Vista are better than the Plaza suites poolside? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you just stop going off topic. These are callbacks to other
We're
podcasts.
drunk.
Sorry.
It's
It's okay.
three
I don't mind.
podcasts
No, she's
today.
got a great
so-
story.
We're
Yeah,
sorry.
I know.
Yes,
She-
we're
So-
intrigued.
She's not flappable. She will go through this.
So I ended up in Sierra Vista. I ended up getting a job at Chili's and met some cool people. And then
That's where I know you from.
Chili's back in 02. Chili's in 02. I ended up getting in touch. Oh, I quit my job at Chili's and I started working at, it was this like Italian place that lasted about 6 months, but they found out I did comedy. And I was kind of done with comedy. I was like, I'm not in Kingman anymore. The mecca of my stand-up career. And so I wasn't even really interested in doing it anymore. And they asked me, they were like, oh, well, we heard you do comedy. Can you put a show together? And so I was like, yeah. And so I wrote up a proposal that was way more money than I thought they were going to agree to. And they were like, okay. And so I ended up
At Chili's?
And not at Chili's. This was a different place. This is
right.
where the Quality Inn is now.
All right.
In Sierra Vista. And I booked
Windermere.
Kyle Cease and Courtney Cronin.
Keep going. I'll clear this room.
I'm sorry.
Let her tell her
Cease.
story.
I didn't know better.
How did you know Kyle?
Because he
Cease?
did a show in Kingman. He did a show in Kingman. Brian had booked in Kingman. And so they came out, we did the show, and it ended up being really successful. And they were like, let's do it again. So I renegotiated for actually more money. And I started booking it. So LA Comics were sending me videotapes, actual videotapes. And I would watch them, and if I liked them, I'd book them. And, it was mostly
nice.
off recommendations and stuff. And it ran there for like almost a year, and then I moved it over to the Windermere, which was called the lounge was what was it called? The fucking like Oyster Club Lounge. And we did the show there for like another 2 years, and I had a bunch of people that came through that were really cool cats. And then,
You were hosting and making money as a booker?
yeah.
Yeah.
Good
but
for you.
Now, at this point, you still have 2 kids at this
I have
point?
2 kids, yeah, and I'm a single mom.
And your day job.
I worked at that point I was working at the restaurant for a little while. Then I was actually doing well enough running the show to kind of support myself for the most part. And then I started working at Applebee's.
The enemy of
Because
Chili's.
Chili's
Chili's and
once you left
apples.
Chili's, you got to go to Applebee's in Sierra Vista. That's the rule. I went over to Applebee's, and then I had a complete mental breakdown, and quit comedy. And then 2 weeks later,
Hang on.
yeah.
Let's get to the mental breakdown.
The
Fuck
mental breakdown.
comedy. What was the mental breakdown? 'Cause we have a lot of those around here.
I didn't realize that I was clinically depressed, so I was just going to the bar a lot. I was spending a lot of time at the bar. Oh, that's what it was. I was working at Jimbo's. I forgot about that. I was working at Jimbo's in Sierra Vista.
Jimbo's.
Jimbo's.
What's Jimbo's?
No,
Jimbo's
that's the wrong
Beach
one.
Shack.
Jimbo's was the hookup place for military. For the
Jimbo's
main-
was the meat
yeah.
market.
Sierra
It
Vista.
was the place.
I was a mechanic in Sierra Vista whenever Jimbo's was at its height, so I know Jimbo's.
Yeah. So I was doing promotions for Jimbo's for a while. That's what I was
You
doing. in between.
forgot that part?
I did. No, I don't know. I'm fucking switching shit up. But at some point I worked at Jimbo's. But no, I was drinking a lot and I was just super depressed. My best friend had moved down here with me. And she was basically taking care of my kids. I was either sleeping or at the bar. And then one day
At Jimbo's.
Yeah. I
Okay,
was-
but were you still booking comedy?
no, I had stopped.
So you had stopped.
I had
So you-
stopped because I got
okay.
burnt out because
All
I
right.
wasn't doing anything for myself. I was just booking people and doing the show
So you're doing Jimbo's and
Yeah.
then sleeping.
and sleeping. And one night I drank too much, got super depressed, and asked my friend, like I was already upset because a guy that I had slept with basically called me a whore. And so that like triggered. And then I asked a friend of mine to walk me to my car. And he was like, oh, I'll watch and make sure you make it to your car. And then I walked halfway to my car. I looked back and the motherfucker was gone. And I felt so like just like uncared for. I was like, I don't even matter. And
Unrapeable?
yeah. I was like, I can't even. I was like, Jesus. I'm thinking, like, in his mind, he's like, she made it halfway. She's fine. Nobody's going to rape her that fast. She's going to be all right. And so I go home and I decide at that point, I'm like, all right, well, I have a bottle of Xanax. I have a bottle of Malibu. So I decided to drink both those. And I wrote a note that just said, I think, it was highly illegible. I just wrote a note that said, my kids deserve better. And like decided I was going to go to sleep and not wake up. And then at some point, I guess I called my best friend who worked at Jimbo's at the time, Heather, and she showed up right as I passed out face first in my living room, holding the cocktail, a Malibu and Red Bull, just face first. It's probably the Red Bull that saved my life.
Red Bull saved my life tonight.
Seriously.
Sugar bear.
But I went straight down, boom, face first. Didn't spill my drink.
Of course not.
I don't want to.
Thank you.
I don't want to get off topic, but was Heather going out with Danny? Because I think we hung out in the same trailer park.
I don't think so. At the time, she was with someone else. But she shows up. She calls the paramedics. And then apparently I ran from the paramedics all through my house. I was just like, no, you're not going to save me. Like, you can't catch me in my trailer. It's going to go hide in my room. And they pulled me out of the house. They took me to the... I don't remember anything from the time I passed out to 36 hours later, which was Mother's Day, when I woke up to my kids
Puff
giving
unit?
me their homemade presents. You want to feel like an
wait.
asshole.
So you didn't get locked up?
No, not then.
Did they not see the note or something?
No, they
Couldn't read
apparently,
it.
They can't
apparently
read.
This is what was told to me. I was taken to the emergency room where they convinced me in my incoherent state to drink the charcoal drink. I apparently
There's no pills though, right?
no, I had taken a bottle of Xanax.
the Xanax.
Yeah,
That's- I'm sorry.
I had taken the bottle of Xanax.
What are we talking
They gave
about?
me
Okay, I'm sorry.
A couple of us are on the same page.
they convinced me this will be funny in a minute. They convinced me to drink the charcoal drink, and then the psychologist comes in and he's like, are you going to do this again? And apparently I was like, no. And he was like, good enough for me. Sign this piece of paper. And I was like, okay. This is all told to me later because I woke up on Mother's Day to my kids being like, oh, mommy, we love you. Here's homemade presents. And I'm like, oh, Jesus, what the fuck happened? And then my roommate comes in and she's like, I'm moving out. This is too much for me. And I fucking lost my shit. So they take me to my mom's house
In
to keep
Sierra
me safe.
Vista?
Yeah, to keep me safe so that I can't get into trouble at my own house.
Well, you got to go from the chill out tent to somewhere.
Right. Well, here's what happens. I go into my
Can't
mom's...
be a danger to yourself or Applebee's.
I then go into my mom's bathroom and take all the pills I can find in her bathroom. You know, because that's the smart thing to do. Is put
Stool
me in.
softeners. God
like, I already
damn,
took-
stool softeners.
So
What's Geritol anyway?
here's the problem: if you don't take a bottle of Xanax, you then remember all the shit that happens. So I'm coherent enough that they probably could have given me the charcoal drink and I would have drank it again. But instead, they pumped my stomach, which is it's fun. I don't know if you ever had that.
Not
happen.
all of it, based
It's-
on for the viewer at home.
They left some behind.
Yeah, they
They,
left a lot of stomach.
They
They intubate you, right? It goes all the way down your
They
throat.
do. They shove a garden hose down your fucking throat.
Wow.
And then you vomit so violently that you piss everywhere, which is super fun. And then they give you a pair of scrubs that are 2 sizes too small.
I just do
to
that to
wear
piss
home.
off the orderlies.
This
and
literally
shit.
happened in that driveway with me and Tom Rhodes, but it was mushrooms and there was piss and vomit.
Oh, it's god awful horrible. Did you get a nice tight pair of scrubs to wear home? I did.
No, Bingo changed me like a baby in the driveway.
He's still wearing
Tom Rhodes
He's still
podcast.
wearing the shorts he wore then.
No, the psychologist comes back and he's like, Amy, I thought you said you weren't going to do this again. And I was like, when the fuck did I say that? He was like, the other night when you signed this document. I look at the signature and I was like, who the fuck signed that? Like, this doesn't even look like my signature. I was like, did you
or my
ID me?
suicide note.
I was like, you're ridiculous. And he was like, well, you have two choices. I can, go ahead and release you. Or I can send you to the Puff House, which is the
Puff unit,
yes.
The listeners are familiar. Bingo spent her time
Right.
in Benson.
Yeah, in Benson.
Make sure you get Charlie. Make sure you get Charlie's mic set up. He hasn't said a fucking word the entire time.
Bingo's high-fiving.
Nice.
Well, no, I did.
So-
I was like, "This is what are we talking about?"
Charlie, we're
I'm sorry.
podcast going.
Sorry.
So I get sent to the Puff House, and it's middle of the night at this point. They do my intake, and it's probably like midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and they were like, "Are you hungry?" And I was like, "Yeah." And so they bring me like a sack lunch. I was like, "Oh, it's like Girl Scout camp. This is great." They give me it's like a turkey sandwich and an apple. I eat that. They get me all signed in, and I go to my room and just pass the fuck out. It was the best sleep I think I've ever had. Like, I slept for probably a good 10 hours. I wake up the next morning and immediately I'm like, oh, this was a mistake. I should not be here. It's also my son's birthday. So again, great mothering. Great mothering. And I'm like, oh my, it's my son's birthday. I'm like, I am the biggest asshole on the planet. And I'm like, I want to go home. And they were like, well, technically we can hold you for 72 hours because you signed yourself in. And I was like,
Was it Sam's birthday?
it was Sam's birthday, my oldest son. And my son is in prison. So there's another story that I can talk about.
Let's just wrap up this one.
Okay,
So, how
wanna-
did you get into comedy?
Yeah. Wait, what?
No, I want to get Anthony in on this.
Yeah.
Charlie, I don't think Charlie has dark stories that compare.
I think you're wrong.
Well, I
there might be
know
some.
Anthony does because he waited to the end of the set and
Yeah.
then threw in a couple of like dark fucking
There's
bits.
some good shit.
Like
Yeah.
joke, dark jokes.
You know the
But
closer is going to be something that is going to set itself
I'm just
apart.
saying we have to keep
no,
this
I get
podcast
it.
length. What are we at? Like 25?
Is that all?
We're now at 7 hours and 42 minutes.
But no, so I go in. They were like, you have to wait for the psychiatrist to come in.
Welcome back to part 7 of the Doug Stanhope podcast.
Go ahead, I'm listening.
We go to breakfast because he's not due in until like 9. Breakfast is like 7:30. So we go in.
The kid for his birthday.
Yeah, I'm not there.
Same.
I'm not. Yeah, I want to go home to go see my son for his birthday to not be an asshole. And so we go in for breakfast, and this girl is sitting next to me, and she's scabbed up. She's a mess. And she's like, oh, what are you here for? And I was like, oh, the huevos rancheros. Clearly, it's Wednesday. Like, I'm here because I'm fucking suicidal. Why are you here? And she's like, oh, whatever. And she goes, what'd they give you when you got here? And I was like, what do you mean? And she goes, well, what'd they give you at intake? And I was like, a turkey sandwich. And she goes, well, they gave me lithium.
Lorazepam?
I'm like, they gave you the stuff that powers batteries, and I got a fucking turkey sandwich. Like, how is that fair? And but yeah, I go see the psychiatrist after breakfast. We talk for about 10 minutes. He's like, oh, you seem good. And then writes me a prescription for sleeping pills and fucking Xanax. More Xanax. I was like, oh, he wants me to die. This is nice. Yeah, so bang up mental health care in Southern Arizona.
Oh, don't worry. I have what is it, like a 17-minute chunk? Oh, thank you. On my
CISO.
new special coming out on CISO about Arizona mental health
Oh, it's
care.
horrible.
Coming out September 15th on CISO, which is a streaming thing that if Chaille was
Yeah.
here and he just walked out to
He
piss.
just ran off.
Go to
CISO.
Chaille's Twitter.
It
He's
just-
got a link.
Yeah, you fucking. There's a link. It's a new streaming site. That's where the new no place like. It's on the show page. It'll be on this page. And how? So you get out.
So
right
I
away.
did. A woman who looked a lot like Dolly Parton drove me home. And I made it in time to the birthday party that my friend Heather, who saved my life, impromptu threw for me so my son would have a birthday party.
Takes a village.
Yeah, and yeah, it was a lesson learned. It was a lesson learned.
I hope you're a better mother.
You carry it all into comedy.
Well, my son's in prison, so I don't know. I don't know.
The 20-year-old?
He is. My other son's fine, so I guess
Oh, wait, no,
50% of the time.
That's you with the 20-year-old.
No, I have a 20-year-old
they're
as
the
well.
same.
Yeah, same age.
I don't know any of you guys till tonight. I confused your
Yeah.
acts.
No, we both have 20-year-olds.
Charlie has the 20-year-old and the 5-year-old.
Yeah, I have a 20-year-old and a 16-year-old.
Don't confuse people by saying Charlie's name. He hasn't said anything this whole time.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't know what to say. Like I'm just enjoying being here. That's it.
That's a good thing.
really
That's,
like
that's
this-
a good response.
Yeah.
I'm just
That's
gonna
why we're
leave.
pulling Anthony into your chair.
Who fell down?
That was
Ichabod just knocked over a
Ichabod
stool.
knocked a chair down. I've never seen that.
Ichabod's
movie.
drunk.
Ichabod, I don't
Drunk.
think he likes Anthony.
I was gonna blame Anthony, but I don't think it was him.
Nope.
All right, Charlie,
Happy.
you were all fucking great. We laughed the entire time through. I could never leave except when you were doing T-shirt
Sit down, Charlie.
promotions,
Promo, yeah.
which I was going to do at the end for
No,
you.
dude,
So-
thank you for the help in that. That was nice.
but
That was a
thank
fun
you for
back and
doing
forth.
it before Anthony
Yeah.
at the end, so I could piss finally, because you don't want to get up in the front row and leave.
Right,
Now-
right.
All right, let's take a quick break and make drinks and have a cigarette, and we'll be right back. That's right. Digging Up Mother is on audible.com. Audible.com for all your audiobook needs. If you spend any time whatsoever in traffic, get audiobooks. They will change the world for you. And if you've listened to Digging Up Mother with myself and Chad Shank doing the reading, and you want to give me shit about how much I suck worse than Chad Shank, do that, but make sure you include @audible.com in the tweet, so Audible knows that you want more Chad Shank reading books, because I think he's launching a new career. So when you give me shit and congratulate Chad Shank in a tweet, make sure you add @audible.com.
I would appreciate that. I've been reading all of the reviews on Audible. So a couple of people have been very nice to me, so thanks to people that. Maybe I'll read more books.
Yeah, that's our commercial, audible.com. And they have other shit too. They probably have other books that they have out, or is it just my book?
Just yours?
Just mine.
Flagship book.
Audible.com for all your audiobook needs. Hey, we're back. Anthony, take Charlie's chair, because I want to hear your dark fucking...
I can pop out. He can take mine. I'll take a
I'm
break.
good,
What?
man. I'm so good, dude. Thank you for having us at your place. Thank
Yeah,
you for coming.
don't worry.
Thank you for corralling people. Thank you, Chaille, for like doing the lights and stuff. This is my first time ever doing a
Can
tour.
someone start
I
the
don't know
playoff
stuff.
music?
Flip
I
the
appreciate
switch.
whatever. It should be some NFL type shit because you fucking crushed it. Like, I'm sorry, but anyways, thank you.
Hello.
Thank you guys.
Thank you, Charlie. Don't
quite
worry,
an
cocktails
entrance,
are still
Charlie.
pouring. Oh, and kill
exit, I
that.
think.
There's pulled pork sliders in that over there.
You just made Anthony leave again.
Shut it off.
He was.
What
Shut it
part?
off.
What?
Park.
Anthony
make
was
you one.
almost to the microphone, and you said pull pork. and
Is
he
there a
took
man from
off.
Texas
We got
here?
it. We got it.
I'm gonna get into that pulled pork in a hot minute.
Yeah.
I bet you
Oh
are.
yeah. Oh yeah. Get up on the mic, Anthony. Anthony's got his giant fan with him
What, just
My AZ fan.
because he's not gay enough. He's got to have a fan bigger than.
I gotta just let
An
everybody
NFL's
know how
shoulders.
gay I am.
Anthony's giant Pokemon ball earrings didn't give it away enough. He's got to be more flamboyant than that.
When you brought up Pokemon, I thought, well, go ahead.
Anthony, say your last name.
I'm Anthony Desamito.
At what on Twitter?
I'm at Anthony Desamito on Twitter. and
I'll find that right
Instagram.
away.
Yeah,
Google
find
will
it.
spell it for you. Just
Google,
Yeah.
It's Desamito. So find me.
Phonetic.
how long you been doing comedy?
So it's been 6 years.
All right.
6
And
years
how old
now.
are you?
I am 28 years old.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
started when I
You-
was 21.
In Tucson?
You will find such a voice that you don't have yet, because you're a fucking This is me pontificating. You're a fucking brilliant joke writer,
Thank you.
and then at the end, you start getting in dark shit.
Yeah.
Your jokes are dark, but they're jokes. In the middle, at the beginning, it's I have to be gay and be gay,
Right.
and then
The gay
You
state.
have to
always
address
interspersed
I
with
have to
gay.
address. I have,
Have
to
to
talk
address
about
it to
jizz
begin
for a
with. Yeah,
bit.
totally.
But then you get into the like some hardcore stories at the end that you still kind of half mask as jokes where they're obviously not, and you close on that, which is brilliant.
Thank you.
I assume you've worked a lot of gay bars,
I have worked.
drag show.
Wait, a
I-
comedy?
I've done some gay bars. I had a show at a gay bar when I was starting out.
Yes.
But
I did that
Blackwell
show.
it.
Yeah.
And so after that, I really just did straight bars and straight clubs. In Arizona, it is super, super duper straight when you do a club. So that's really where I cut my teeth is the clubs here. Doing like just catering to the straight audience of Arizona.
Well, there's no straighter audience except for us being there than Naco, Arizona,
Yeah.
town of fucking. Everyone has 3 gunshot wounds and no one goes out.
People
of their
older
house.
than us paid $10 to get in.
I hope they paid.
And
Wow.
the whole time I like when I know it's like a super uber duper straight audience, I'm like sitting there sweating like, are they gonna like me? Are they gonna be okay? As soon as they say "Homo estás," that's how I know if they're gonna like me or not. If
But
they-
you
if they
started
laugh at
gay
that.
right from the start.
Yeah, like
You were
like
headlining
that
for
guy.
the listener. You were headlining tonight of 4 comics.
Yeah.
One is thankfully passed out.
For the
I put her to bed, and it took a good half hour. I was like, Leslie,
solid work.
Leslie,
are you okay?
Weird
Do-
as fuck, but when it comes to this situation, doing a podcast,
She
way
can't
too
do
drunk
it.
to be.
She can't do it right now.
Her peanut butter
She's
joke.
she's
Her peanut butter
lovely.
joke, which
Oh, yeah.
where like she said peanut butter and then she flipped it, and I'm
Yeah.
like, are you fucking kidding me? What are we?
Yeah, Leslie's amazing.
She's brilliant. She's so fun.
But
But
listen,
right now she's
we
wasted.
walked into the gay
She-
90s. We didn't
I-
expect that kind of sophistication.
She like hit me in the face in the car. That's how drunk
did.
she is. She's
I normally wouldn't say this on a podcast, but I'm drunk. But that chick was a fucking cunt to me in the bar like
Really?
5 times.
Whoa, what did she
and
say?
then I stood in front of the microphone, and then she was like, "Oh, this guy is my fucking friend." It was pretty
this
funny.
is the thing.
that's every woman though. You're a cunt until you're funny on stage.
yeah.
You
You're a
guys,
fucking
I-
dumbass.
well, I
until
didn't have to say
you
anything.
say a joke. That's how it is.
She just thought I was a local at the gay 90s bar. She didn't know that I had my own microphone
Yeah.
on the Doug Stanhope podcast. That's what happened.
Anthony,
Judging you and her drunkenness.
I don't want to
But
call.
she was funny. All of you guys were hilarious.
Sorry.
I don't want to call anyone out, but honestly, you guys are doing your show, and when I see a group of comics, I feel like it's all for one for all. And during your set, she was in the bar, fucking yucking it up with the locals.
During Charlie's set
Yeah.
too.
I didn't see that, but
She's
Yeah.
just drunk, and
Yeah.
well,
And it
it's-
was at the
it
point of no
should
return,
be-
really. That's where it was.
Okay, Charlie was second guy up, or actually it was
second drunkest.
yeah.
The feature.
Amy,
Yeah, then Leslie.
then
Right.
But it's like I don't like that when it's like that loud in the back of the room during your
Right.
set. You're the headliner,
Right.
but at the same time, it's like, does she not know that she should probably be a little bit more respectful, man the merch booth, or do
Yeah.
something?
Right.
well,
I don't think she
She
realized
did
how
take
loud it
door,
was.
and she
Yes,
was
she
going to
did.
let us all in for free, and I demanded to pay. And
Another problem I
Like
got with that.
yeah, when you're at the point of no return, you really don't know what's going on.
That was at
Yeah,
8:15.
and so maybe I'm not. I in a way. I'm like I know I'm sounding like I'm defending her, but it's like I've been there and I know and people have told me to shut up. And like, oh, but I will. Like, no one wants to talk to me when I'm drunk.
We've
just
all
saying.
been there, especially when we walk into a gig. You go, I need to be this drunk to be able to do this to a fucking banquet hall of mostly nobody and people playing pool at the other end. So yeah, I'm not giving her shit. I'm just glad she's not here
I'm
right
glad
now.
she's sleeping.
I'm glad you put her to
away.
bed.
I gave her a pillow and a blanket.
Let's steer it back because when you came out and said "homo estás," which was hilarious, I totally knew you were gay before that.
Before.
But I
People
have
were like,
that kind of
look at
insight.
Just me walking to the mic.
We've
and
already
like,
been over that on this podcast, how gay you are.
Yeah.
While you were putting her to bed,
We did.
talking
Yeah.
about how
people
gay you are.
just knew I was gay.
Chad, what kind of
Before.
powers do you possess?
Well, I
you
have.
can tell that Anthony is gay.
I went to an open mic last week, so I
His
knew a
first
little
one,
bit
Gary.
about how
Oh, wait,
things
wait.
work.
You can
Chad
narrate-
Shank. Can get it. Chad Shank, we just came back from Vegas, just got back yesterday. Chad Shank went to his first open mic and first gay bar in the same 2 nights.
Same
Nice.
night.
No,
same two
Same
nights.
24
You're right,
hours.
you're right.
Same
Same
24
two nights.
hours.
Wait, did
What's
you
up?
go up?
One of them was
Wait, at which place?
At either.
We're at in Vegas.
yes in Vegas. We
Which
went,
open
garage?
mic did you
we
go
went to the garage.
That sounds pretty gay.
It was very gay.
No.
I recommend it.
Wait a
It's
minute.
a
Why does that
very
sound
nice-
gay?
It was top gay. It was.
When we pulled up, we pulled
like
up
all
in the
pro?
We're not
Uber.
gonna go to the living room. We're gonna go to the garage.
We
You know,
pulled
where
up in the Uber and you could only go in the back door. And I was like, we just came to a gay bar called the Garage and I can
Yeah.
only go in the back door.
That
I
makes
get
sense.
it.
That makes
I get
sense.
it. I never been there, but I understand.
You need to go to more gay bars in a breathy voice.
It was. I'll tell you what, I've been
I can
to.
take
I
you
haven't
to
been to
some.
a lot of bars in Vegas, but the Garage was my favorite.
I haven't been to any gay bars in Vegas.
Well,
Well, this was a sports bar, like 30 screens of all sports. And
No one's watching.
Sports gay
No, they're
bars,
watching.
even though it's an oxymoron, they're very popular. It's
it
very-
was packed
it's
on a
very-
Sunday.
A lot of gay guys are like, "Oh, I'll be into football. I'm a top. Like I'm a dude's dude. Like
as a bear, I expected a lot more action in this gay bar.
no, they like
Nobody was interested
They,
in me.
they like
Okay.
like they really respect your space because at a gay sports bar they know there's gonna be straight dudes and they could probably tell you're straight. Just like no offense, right now.
Well, his
on the
wife
nose.
was curled
On the
around him
nose.
like the dog from the Grinch that stole Christmas.
So when
I kept kissing my wife repeatedly. like,
you kept like fingering her and
I'm
licking her
straight.
vagina.
I'm straight.
Straight guys.
He didn't do that. But at some point, Chad, let's out. This is the first time I've been in a gay bar. But
So scared. Lick my wife's pussy.
The bar we played was the first open mic I'd ever done. Back then it was a different bar, but on my 25th anniversary, I played the same bar now called the Dive Bar. So there's no green room, and we have 25 people that are coming. So we
chill.
we said,
with a capacity
"What's-"
like sold tickets 175, we have 25 with us.
So it was like more straight people than gay people.
no, this was the gay bar.
Hang
Was that
on,
at the gay bar?
Anthony,
Okay,
listen.
I'm sorry, I'm a little drunk.
No,
Drunk too.
So
I think he's wishful thinking.
we
The
asked
super gig.
since there's no green room in a 175 standing dump dive bar. I said, "What's the closest bar near it that we can all hang out
Gotcha,
as a
gotcha.
green room?" And
We
they
were
say
more
the
com-
garage.
We were more comfortable doing cocaine with each other in the restroom of the gay bar than we were the.
Oh, that's
Well,
right.
of course.
Oh,
Super
tell
fun.
him that story because he goes up by
Wait,
himself.
is there cocaine?
No,
this
this
party?
is this.
In Vegas
in Vegas.
4 days ago.
Damn it! All right,
The cocaine here would put you to sleep.
really?
They cut it with downers.
Or give you the
That-
shits.
Really?
Yeah.
You Bisbee cocaine! I fucking hate you.
Chad goes up to the bar to order a drink, and then Andy.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was cool because then like the the bartender was at least a little bit nice because he was like, "Hey, sweetie, what can I like?" He was because I was feeling a little bit neglected. Bingo was getting all the attention with her badass outfit.
Bingo was wearing this outfit with this whole
Headdress.
Queen of Hearts. I don't know what the fuck it was.
yeah, the whole back of her neck is that I don't know how you explain it. Bingo,
man.
where's
Like a
Bingo?
Shakespeare
There's a picture
collar,
somewhere.
like
Yes.
Queen Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Yes,
fucking
yes.
thing.
Something like
So
that.
all the
all the
queens
gay
are
guys were like,
they're
"Oh my
all over.
god, you're so fabulous."
Yeah.
Nice.
So he goes up, Chad orders a drink.
As I'm ordering a drink, Andy Andrus comes over and just drapes himself over the back of me and whispers in my ear, "Meet me in the bathroom."
He's a comic friend of ours.
Which I already knew that he was
Fucking
going to
with
have
you.
cocaine.
Okay.
So I already, it wasn't
You're
a
like,
bait
this
and
guy's
switch.
fucked up.
But everyone else sees him drape around the big bear here and say, "Meet me in the bathroom," and they both
some
walk into
fresh
the
loot.
bathroom.
Well,
Did you
Well-
both walk into the bathroom?
well, I waited for my drink because the guy was still bringing me a drink, and then I went over and there was like a bathroom and it had a men and a women sign above it.
Unisex.
Right.
So I was like, "Oh, okay." So I walked inside and there was like a small lesbian woman walking out, and I was like, "Ma'am, I don't know where to go," because I was out of my element, but I'm trying to
What?
be polite. So I'm like,
Where do I take out my dick?
I start yelling. I'm like, "Andy, Andy!" And once I realized that Andy wasn't in there, then the lady was like, "There's a men's bathroom down the hallway." I'm like,
so that was the girl.
but I felt not judged at all. Like
Right.
it was cool that I went into the wrong
That's good.
fucking bathroom. So normally,
He said-
normally I'd feel awkward about such a thing, but I didn't.
He goes, "It's the first time," Anthony. He goes, "It's the
I'm
first."
so glad you felt so not awkward that you had to mention it.
But no.
I'm just being descriptive. I don't know how else to talk.
Let me tell you guys how uncomfortable I felt at this gay bar,
Well, it's
and
my
I
first,
did not feel it was weird.
Well, it's my first one, so I was acutely
Anthony, you
aware.
don't know his background. And,
What's your background?
well, you have
Were
to
you
listen
a male
to.
prostitute?
I was not, but I was homophobic at one point.
Oh, were you?
Early on, where I grew up, everybody was homophobic.
Right. What were your feelings inside? Like, what did you think? Like, what they were gonna do?
At that point,
Yeah.
nothing. It was more of just a fitting in with everybody else. I didn't want to be like, "What's wrong with that? You fucking morons!" That didn't go in the small town where drunkenness and
Yeah.
bigotry was
The
reigned.
biggest homophobe in that town was probably the biggest cocksucker.
Oh,
in that town. For
I can't.
Sure.
Sometimes
That's
I
what
try.
happens.
Sometimes I try to imagine like who was fucking
charge of
gay
this.
when I was a kid, because like nobody was out, but certainly
somebody had to be.
somebody was fucking.
Well,
gay.
you're from
And
Yuma.
there was
Yeah, he's
5,000
from
people.
Globe.
Globe, Arizona.
Okay.
Do you know where Globe?
Oh my god.
Globe, Arizona.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Kingman's the
Fucking-
same way.
okay.
Kingman's
What
the
is
same
it?
way.
All of a sudden, the fucking light of understanding
I
shines
understand
upon
you
everybody.
now. Like we're one now. We're like
Yeah.
this. We're like,
But-
well, not that. Close.
Not yet.
I gotta get back. I gotta get back to
You
where
are
we
cute,
were.
though.
I gotta get back to where we were.
Yes.
That was the green room. We had a great time waiting. We were just waiting for our show. Then we do our show at the dive bar, which is walking distance from the garage. The next night, they have open mic at the dive bar. I stayed back at the hotel because we were doing podcasts and shit, but he went to his first open mic the next night. And now I don't remember the whole point of the story.
I don't either. Well, you guys
were at
were
a gay
telling
bar.
me. I do remember that you guys were trying to tell me to try to do open mic at the open mic. Well, are you going to go up? When I went, I told Stanhope, I'm not going to fucking go up.
Did you go
because,
up?
Well, absolutely not.
You didn't go up to
listen,
your first open mic?
Listen, I have great respect for all comedians that go up and do funny stuff. I didn't realize that happens and nobody laughs. I have respect for people who are successful. Fuck the people who people went up and told joke after joke after joke and not one person laughed. I was like, this is what you guys want me to do?
Yeah.
Fuck you guys.
That's what mics are
I'm not
about.
fucking doing
You
that.
go
It seemed like he got a hold of the end of the joke before we got to play it on him.
Yeah.
You really were perplexed. It's like, this is not what I would do.
Anthony,
Yes, Doug.
your first open mic, when you said Yuma,
Yes.
and I yelled, I
you
did
did, yeah.
one gig there in my early mullet days in a room like the one you did tonight, but brightly lit in a Holiday Inn kind of. So that's why I yelled out. And the only thing I remember about that, there was another Doug Stanhope, which lived there, and they go, "Oh, a couple people said, oh, we thought you were the guy from high school that turned
Yuma
into
Doug Stanhope. I know that guy. He's in accounting.
No, he was a piece of shit, fucking dirtbag. That guy's doing comedy. They
Sure.
just
Everyone from Yuma is.
so Yuma. Did you start there?
So I grew up in Yuma. I lived there when I moved there from Mexico, and I lived there through all of high school. That's where I consider where you're from, where you went to high school, because that's where you became a person, right?
Yeah.
So where you're from, you went to high school. That's where you fucking from.
You
Get
became
over it. Get over
18. You became an adult.
Yeah,
legally.
18, you became adult, you became a person, right? And so I grew up in Yuma, Arizona until we moved from Mexico to Yuma when I was 8 years old. And all I did
How many years
when I was 8, I lived there for 12
until
years.
what year? I'm sorry.
It's okay.
He said 8.
When I
years
was
old.
8, I moved there when I was 8 years old from
It's
Mexico.
this gay accent that you're not understanding.
it's all the lisp that I'm you can't get through what I'm saying. Yeah. You can't stop thinking I'm sucking your dick, and that's what is distracting you, Doug.
I was gonna make a joke that was way less dark than one of the jokes he made about AIDS.
What was that?
I was gonna say my listeners are getting AIDS. They know how gay you are just listening. But you had an
they
even darker
are.
joke.
Oh my
on
god, I am
stage.
so lucky I don't have AIDS. That's
That's
I
the bit.
think that's what you brag about when you're
No,
gay.
it was
When you're straight, you brag about losing weight. When you're gay, you brag about not having AIDS. That's the thing.
When you,
I don't. He had a joke about being portly, and that's the only reason he doesn't have AIDS.
hey, I wrote this joke after the Orlando shooting.
Yes. Oh, there was so many fucking
So
dark
good.
jokes that if you were in a real comedy club tonight, at least the back of the room would be dying.
Wow.
They would have taken
Well,
over the
the
front.
manager be pacing.
Yes.
Yeah. A couple old ladies walk out. I'm for sure.
Couple? Listen, you kept going. And we were looking at each other. He was like, he should end on that one. That was fucking great.
The only
kept
reason
going.
people stayed is because they were Mexican, and so are you. They stayed out of solidarity.
That was
There was one gay guy there that you kept
What?
looking at.
Was there?
Oh, yeah, that
I
hairdresser.
I was like, this is the guy.
Of
If
course.
anything, I'm gonna fuck. If I get anything out of this set, I'm gonna fuck that guy.
And here you are with us.
Sorry, we
and he's
ruined
not
it.
here, huh?
He's not here. But
Cock block.
I'm gonna check out Bisbee's Misconnections tomorrow, and I'm gonna be like, was I? Yes, I will find you. I am here in Nogales. Drive an hour.
Let's get to the end because I know more than cock. You want pork sliders, so let's get to the dark
I
shit.
love food and I love cock. Yes.
At the end, you went into I don't want to burn your material, but
It's all good.
you went into
Burn it up.
No
being
one's listening to me.
molested.
Yeah, I was molested when I was little.
What?
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the trendy thing to do now. My babysitter molested me. He made me touch his penis when I was living in Mexico.
Fuck it. Do the joke.
Hold on. I do have to say, when you said, come on, we've all been molested, Doug and I just fucking both looked at each other laughing. And then later on you went into that. And it was really one of those things because it is one of
I have
now
bits that are past that sounded like a bragger.
Somebody asked me about
thing.
Pokemon, my Pokemon earrings, and I like to say people ask me all the time why do you how do you like Pokemon? Pokemon, it's kind of you have to kind of grow up with it. It's kind of like the taste of jizz. You kind of have to grow up with it. That's for me. I knew the taste of jizz very early on. I knew what that was.
There was the bit was about them pulling him out of the room.
Oh yeah, So I've been seeing a lot of my family recently. The other day, I got to see my older cousin, twice removed from my bedroom as a child. And this is all true.
But that's when you went into the tags where you go, oh no, this is not a joke. This is a way of making something horrible into funny, and then you made it real.
On stage, he didn't say, and this is true. He just said it now. We all knew it was true.
Yeah,
We knew you were saying
I
it,
never said
yeah.
it was true because I expect them to believe me.
You absolutely.
I expect them to be like, oh, this is joking, but this is my life and this is what I went through. Like,
you sell it, my friend.
Like I have
about
probably had more sexual experiences as a child than as an adult. Like that's just the honest truth.
Are you challenging me?
To be fair, some of that's due to your Craigslist activity, right?
My CL status is way up, yo. It could be, but
I know what he just said.
CL is Craigslist.
Okay.
You gotta get with the jargon
I'll look for you
of
now.
the prostitutes.
This is where
Misconnection.
This is where I think of Chaille and doing his bit about being 39 years old, where he can identify as much with 20-somethings as old fucks like us.
Good.
Like, I know what you're thinking, but I also understand why you fucking hate old people. I'm right in the middle. I did that such an injustice. Sorry, Charlie.
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 Hey, hold on.
Hey.
Charlie's there.
Mass confusion on the Doug Stanhope podcast.
That's why you need to see the Razing Arizona Tour, wherever it is. Do you have a website before I forget? Because we'll get back to your molestation.
It's
RazingAZ.com.
RAZING.
Razing. Yeah, like
Razing.
tearing down.
Yes.
I have to explain this to my audience.
Yeah.
Go see it.
Honestly, I don't know what you said you're doing 20 dates.
Hang on,
in
this
Arizona.
guy got molested. Let's get back to that.
But for the Razing AZ, honestly, if you're doing 20 days in Arizona, there are going to be some lonely towns.
Yeah.
Just
Listen,
we'll put them all
this-
on Doug
this-
Stanhope's website.
This will
You can
not
find
go
them.
out. We have 7 or 8 fucking podcasts in the
Fuck,
can.
Yeah,
This
this
is
will
way-
probably
but
go out
they
when
have-
you guys are home.
Listen,
this
they
will be out
have
in
a
December.
website. They have a URL. That means they're going to continue to do this. So,
Yeah.
yes, go to that. There'll still be dates unless you get
I'll
fucking
tweet it.
killed. We'll tweet it after.
Gay 90s is down from March. So already.
Oh, and they're in Bisbee, September 17th at the Stock Exchange.
And hopefully will be out
check
by
us
then.
out.
But
7
they'll still
months
be
from
doing
now.
stuff.
Yeah.
Back to what was that yawn thing about being raped by a cousin?
Well, it's so boring to talk about being raped by a cousin.
We have 2 more minutes, so if we can just fit it
I
in the
feel-
2
I
Amy
minutes.
feel-
Blackwell said, "Listen, wait till he gets to that. Just the apex of rape by a cousin, so we can plug merch in our website." And I'm like, that seems
Exactly.
rude, but we did
Marketing.
it.
That's why she plugged
Marketing.
the shirts before I went up. It's because no one's gonna want to do this after.
Anybody want a beer koozie?
Yeah.
After
Anybody want
rapey?
a I got molested in Mexico shirt? Anybody? I got molested in Mexico. Cozy?
I went to Naco and all I got was rape.
When you do talk about that,
Yeah.
do you get a lot of people that come up and say thanks for saying that?
I've gotten a few people. I lived in Mexico and that happened to me. And so I'm like, oh, look, we can see eye to eye. Can we take a picture? Okay. And that's how it is, right? But like, it feels good. Like I drive home and I'm like, I feel so good that I was able to connect with somebody in that mode. And so I'm trying to, like, I do a lot of bar shows. That's what I mainly do because I'm a new comic
In
And
LA?
So in LA,
LA now.
yes.
Yeah.
And
You're
and-
in LA now.
yeah, I'm in Los Angeles, 3 months now in Los Angeles, and so I am. What's great about the mics in LA is it's all comics. They want to hear dark stuff, so I'm doing okay, and like in a club I have to clean it up, of course. You know, some of my stuff works. My molestation stuff I have to clean it up a lot, but it is a challenge, and especially if you're opening for somebody that like wants that it's super clean. You know, you gotta like clean it up, and that's where I struggle. But I try to stay true to myself as much as I can. You know.
I disagree with that though.
It's weird because like a lot of comics will take me on the road and they're like, yeah, you can do 15, 20 minutes. And then when I get there, they're like, can you do it clean? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So I'm gonna close it with something clean.
You're 29, you get a long fucking road. You're gonna find, but anytime you have a chance to force the issue, do it. You might lose a couple gigs, but if you're funny and you are funny, you've proven that. You'll make your own way. Do what you want to do.
Thanks.
If you have to clean it up a little bit, do it a little bit, and just keep
Skirt
punching.
the issue.
Get
Like,
to the point where
like
they
the
go, that
Thursday
was
show."
almost too much.
What I do is like the Thursday show will be really clean, and Friday, Saturday, and then by Sunday I'm like, yeah, jizz. Got the jizz. You guys like jizz?
It's like playing just the tip in comedy form.
It's like, exactly what it is. And by
Fabulous.
And then
That
just
was
woke up
Anthony
Leslie with that
squealing
laugh.
like a
by the
little
end
girl,
of the
not
weekend,
me.
Angela Johnson is like, "Well, you're gonna do what you're gonna do."
Fucking do what you do. Like you got the joke writing and you got the stories together. Just they'll congeal.
I just want to be honest. I just really want to.
This
be
guy
honest
has
about my
no
entire
problem
life.
putting 15 minutes together, clean or otherwise. After what we saw tonight,
No shit.
yeah,
Gracias.
so good.
Amy Blackwell, obviously. I think Christine Levine. I hope if you don't know
I
her,
just
you will.
did a
So-
show with
so
Christine
fun.
in
She's
in
great.
Tucson.
How'd
We
that
did.
go?
It was good. We did the Surly Wench.
oh no fucking way!
We did the Surly Wench a couple weeks ago, and my mom came, and I ran a very similar set to tonight. And my mom was adorable because she was just beaming. She was like, I haven't heard any of those jokes. And like because I have a punchline where I just say dick really loud, and then I say it again, and I hear my mom go, yeah, and I'm like, oh Jesus, I gotta keep control here. Like my mom's shouting for dick,
like you just kicked a ball into a net.
she was just so excited. Yeah, she's like, score. Yeah.
So great.
I like dick too. No, mom, please don't talk about it.
I love Christine, but I don't think she likes me very much because she had a fan.
Oh,
with
she
her.
hates you.
I think she
The minute I saw you, I go, "That's the." No, I'm just kidding.
Well, she had a fan with her, and her fan was like, she told my friend, like, you look really nice. You're putting him to shame. And then I was like, what? Am I garbage? And then I was just like, what am I, like, trash? And then Christine like grabbed my arm and she was like, what's wrong with you? And I was like,
What the fuck's happening
and
right
I'm
now?
like, I love her from Portlandia and stuff. And she's asked me what's wrong with me. But I don't know. She's super funny.
If Christine asked you what's wrong with you, she probably wanted to know what was wrong with you and maybe you needed help.
I think
she's a
I
fucking
had like
sweetheart.
blood in
she's
my eyes. or
delightful.
That's
something.
not
Like,
Christine.
I don't know. It was weird.
Yeah, no. If she's asking what's wrong with you, she's caring about you.
Okay, so-
like
okay.
an
Yeah,
ER doctor.
Bothering you.
Is she
Right.
doing that?
Do you
Okay,
need
because I
help?
was like thinking that she didn't like me.
No.
I'm glad I wasn't off on that observation.
Charlie, a lot of Louis C.K. in a good way.
Yes.
Well, probably because a lot of the
Gets a
subject
lot,
matter,
but he-
wives, children, but
You just
actually
totally made
making
his
it
dick
funny.
hard, by the way, by saying that.
Louis C.K. compared to him.
Plus, he kind of looks like Bert Kreischer.
Yes, I got a lot of Bert Kreischer out of it too.
Yeah.
But in the misogynist kind of way.
Yeah, if he'd only trim that beard. It's only funny
What
'cause
was
of
her name on? Leslie. She was crazy, like the Seattle girl that had the little things. I want to say Jesse Joyce, but that's a dude.
Jesse May
I think
Pelusa.
Jesse Joyce was a MTV DJ.
No, that wasn't
Anyway,
Jesse Joyce.
she was just
was it
crazy. Henry Phillips always talked. Not my dog, the guy my dog's named after. Henry Phillips always wanted to do a coffee table book of new comics that had one really good joke and nothing else. and just have their really good joke.
That's a
and then they
huge
quit
book.
comedy.
That's a huge book. That's a book. Like,
But Leslie did
mountain
have
book,
actually
encyclopedia.
more, but the peanut butter joke.
Oh my God.
she's
So
going
good.
crazy.
Yeah.
That was at that point. I'm like, how come I'm not recording this? How come I have access to the fucking the mixing board? Yeah.
None of the comics
None of you
noticed
know what that
Chaille
joke
going
is,
up
so fuck you
behind
all.
to adjust your volume. Like when it was getting too loud at the end of You, Anthony, Chaille walks right behind you, turns up the volume so you're higher than. And none of the comics ever went, what the fuck is going on?
No.
But yeah, you reminded me of no one but a Mexican queer.
But me, Mexican
Did
queer.
I remind you of anybody?
But
I said Christine
Christine
Levine.
Levine, okay.
Yes.
But JT Habersad just texted me.
That's his shirt. I'm wearing
Which
his shirt.
means he
I'm
just
wearing his
texted
shirt
all
for
of
the
us.
8th day in a row. I have not showered since before I left for Vegas. I drove in this, changed into suits, but we did swim in a pool. So
He's amazing. Well, he just asked me to plug his comedy festival, the Altercation Comedy Festival in Austin, going on 29th through the 28th, which I'll be in with Janet.
Oh, you're gonna be
Bryce.
there.
I'm gonna be there in
good.
Austin. Yeah. Are you guys going?
No.
no,
Oh, fuck
I've
that.
got surgery
that
next week.
Oh no.
They're taking off his head. They're putting Dane.
It's kind of like
Cook-
her
yeah, they're replacing her
when,
head?
when Amy Blackwell was talking about the best sleep she ever got was in the fucking puff unit in the fucking mental institution. The last hernia surgery I got, I like, oh my God, fucking the
Rest.
anesthetics.
Rest.
I let Bingo drive me all the way back from Tucson and didn't panic. That's how good the anesthetics were.
The night after the dive bar.
They just shoved fucking drugs into your butthole.
There was one more. There was one other. It's. I think we're covered. But there was one other joke after the molestation thing. You had some other dark shit you talked about right at the end.
Going on a date with an older man when I was in high school.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Did you say 6 or 16?
So
It
I
had to be
was
16.
I heard 6.
Oh, did you? I
Makes
was.
it a lot funnier.
Yeah,
Well,
I was
what-
in Mexico
or
at the time.
Once the story
Darker.
went
Much
on, I go,
darker.
I misheard it.
So it's a combination
Doug was
of.
projecting his own fantasies onto your jokes. And that
It
happens.
didn't make sense until the story went on.
So-
after my hernia surgery, I'm gonna get this shit cleaned out of my ears. Thank you.
So like I fell in love with a graphic designer at the community college in Yuma at AWC, Arizona Western College. And I like threatened to send him to jail if he didn't start a relationship with me because I was like 16 and in love
Perfectly
with this
normal.
guy. You're right.
This is your closing joke that sounds like a joke, but we again knew it was true.
Yeah, it's very true.
AOL Instant Messenger, am I wrong? Something?
Yeah, we met on
yeah.
AOL.
The AOL threw it in
Yeah,
there.
we
Yeah.
met on AOL like groups. That
So he
was,
picks you up in a fucking pickup truck.
Yeah. And so so this guy takes me out to McDonald's.
Okay, hey, don't want to be a dick. Do the stage version and then do behind the
Behind the
scenes of
scenes.
your closer.
All right. So when growing up, I was not physically fit. I was like pretty fat. And so I know, right? Surprise, surprise. And so the only guys that would fuck me were older guys. And so I was
You can
meeting,
rush through the
you know,
stage
I was meeting
version.
older guys. You're like, this is taking too long. I was meeting older guys on AOL. I met this guy that was like 24 and I was 16 years old. He took me out to McDonald's. I know this is surprising, but he was kind of weird. We just like ate hot and spices. And like after that, the day was over. He put me back in his truck and started driving me home. And I was like, he seemed pissed. So I was like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And he said to me, you're fatter than I thought you were. Because you're 16, I thought you were be skinny. And so I told him, if you don't have sex with me, I'm gonna call the police.
And that's how I lost.
And that's how I lost my virginity. And
That's the bit. He does. I put him on the
Really?
spot. He does a
Yeah.
tight version of that,
yeah.
This is a very
which
tight
to
version.
the layman would sound like a bit. But he's
Right.
come off the heels of the molestation, cousin twice removed from my bedroom joke, which we know isn't a joke. It's like Andy Andrist and Sean Rouse and Christine Levine. They all have jokes where they can make fun
Right.
rather than just be a victim their whole lives. They can turn this into a positive. So the true story is you did meet this dude.
Yeah, I
hookup.
was like on the phone, like crying, and I was just like, "I'm gonna call the police if you don't date me." Like it was like I was like so young and so emotional. Like I was that like vindictive. And this guy was like freaking out. Like he didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
So he's like, "All right, I'll have sex with you, whatever." And it was great. I mean, I thought, even though I was fat. I mean, you're still
Even
fucking.
though I was fat.
Even though I was fat,
Even
like
though I
I'm
was
still
fat.
young, and like you're fucking like this, young fat little 16-year-old butt. Like it's
That's
probably
forcing you.
You had all the power in that relationship.
and that's like, and
He
that
had
like, I have
everything.
all the power, and like that's the thing. Like I am. Like I have control, and that's what people like in that joke is that I turn it around, and I am making the pedophile the victim, and like punishing him, and making him fuck. I'm making him fuck some fat blob 16-year-old garbage
Well,
pile,
Or go to
And, like,
jail.
and
as a
you know
pedophile.
that's what he gets for being a pedophile. You
Well,
have
he's
to
a
fuck
garbage
this guy.
pedophile.
He's a garbage
He's a
pile
garbage.
himself.
He's a garbage pedophile.
You
at that
know,
point.
but now he has to fuck this fat blob.
Well-
Fuck you. That's what you get.
I don't want to focus on this, but who feeds somebody a spicy chicken before they want to fuck them in the butt? I mean, that just seems.
That's what I
or even a
ordered.
blowjob.
I ordered that of
That's
my
good.
own
That's-
will.
yeah.
Yeah, no matter what. No matter
I
what you
ordered
do.
that of my own
You're
will.
doing a hot wings
That's where
contest.
I went to my friend's.
That's where he got disappointed. Spicy
actually-
chicken.
I actually went to my friend's McDonald's because she was working at that McDonald's,
Sure,
and I was
sure.
like, I went
Eat
there
local, buy local.
I took her there to brag. I was like, yeah, I'm on a total date right now. And she was just like, really? And I was like, yeah. Hashtag humble brag.
Leslie's gonna hear this when it airs. and
One
go,
day.
Why? I'm never drinking again. I missed this. Charlie is sitting over there, slumped over a bar stool, going, "I wish I got fucked when I was a kid. I got more
Leslie
airtime."
Barton.
Wait, you got a
at You're
sandwich
Beautiful.
too?
She's so funny. She's so funny. Check her out. She's drunk right now.
Super
Check her
funny.
out.
Oh, Leslie has a peanut butter joke that I will try to reconstruct.
What was the joke?
someday.
Tell me.
No, we can't tell us.
There's no way.
Yeah,
I'm teasing it.
So
Go to
it's too good.
see
Okay.
fucking Arizona Rising. Raising
Raising
Arizona.
Arizona.
Arizona Rising.
Raising with a Z. Raising.
So good. So fun. So fun tonight.
You guys are welcome here anytime. I'm so glad you came over to do this podcast.
Oh, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you.
I might be Derek with his girl and her girlfriend.
That's true.
That's
If it's
another-
not, we should call them. I told them there's no
Jude.
way we're gonna be up 4 hours from now,
have
and here we are.
Apparently.
Let's go. Let's actually talk shit without having to make it airable.
We're all right.
You guys are fantastic. I wish you the best.
Thank you
of
very
success.
much.
Keep going.
Thank
Keep
you.
going. Keep
You
going.
guys in the audience really made it. Like you guys
Yeah.
let the audience.
We'll do
so
the "I
thank
love you" man's off the air. Do you
Yeah.
want to? Is a song that we don't need the rights to close this out?
Mishka. They know Mishka.
Oh, I love Mishka.
All right, we'll close it out with Mishka.
Oh.
Chad Shank, Ggreg Chaille. You have to say your name. I have it written down wrong
Anthony
here.
Desamito.
Amy Blackwell.
Charlie Speez and
Leslie
Leslie
Barton is
Barton.
happily
she was here in
sleeping.
spirit. Literally. Alcoholic
Speez.
spirits.
Go check out the tour.
Speez. I should have just.
Thank you.
Check
Good
me out
night.
at
All right, good night.
anthonydesamito.com.
All right, this is what he gave me, Anthony. That's how he. Once I read
That-
it, that's
well,
how I
that's not
remember
my-
it, and that's,
not
not
how
close.
it's spelled. That's not how it's
I
spelled.
know.
Well,
Thank
it's
you.
phonetically Desamino instead of
Desamito.
Desamito.
It's Filipino.
I heard someone say your name over that fucking PA. So I got it.
Well,
All right, we have to go.
thank you.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Pass me the lampshade, I'm drunk again. Blew my drug money on a quart of gin. Well, I am a cultured man with tastes discriminating, but I'll settle for a tall glass of anything. Fell in love with love and death and darkness. If I'm a bad drunk, well, it's not for lack of practice. This is no modern romance, 'cause I'm going home in a fucking ambulance. Well, am I the only one drinking tonight? The only one drinking tonight. Spring break gone broke, it's sprung. Now I'm the only one. Mirrored medicine cabinet door like the hatch of a submarine. Bottles inside like buttons and dials and tiny backlit screens. Bloody footprints on the bathroom floor. In a hotel close to the airport. Well, am I the only one drinking tonight? The only one drinking tonight. Despair's an octopus with its head in New Hampshire and tentacles everywhere.